Guys, I wanted to make a little video so I could show you how to set up your assignment for this week. This is week 4, and what we're going to be doing this week is we're going to be practicing doing a layout with some text. This is the text that you're going to be doing a layout with. I'm going to click on it, and you could, if you wanted to, copy and paste it from here, but it's probably better to just go over here and download it so it's on your desktop so that it's easier to place into the InDesign file. So the other thing that's in here for your week 4 is a little basic type checklist, so that after you and during the time that you're laying out this article, you can click on it and it'll just kind of give you reminders of what you should look for. And this is the stuff that I'm going to be going over today. So for example, the font, point size, lighting, tracking. So when you're doing your assignment, just like look through this and see if you've hit every single one of these things, and you'll know you've laid out your assignment correctly, pretty much. Okay, that being said, I'm going to minimize this guy, and the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything, before I open InDesign, anything, is I'm going to figure out what my layout's going to be about. So I'm going to click this, and this is in just basic text, no formatting at all. This is a kind of a famous essay. It's called The Crystal Goblet, or Printing Should Be Invisible, and what she means here is that typography should be invisible. By Beatrice Ward. It's an older essay, as you can see, and her point here, you should read something before you lay it out, because if you do not know what you're laying out. And so, but I will tell you that this is her opinion, that the typography, you shouldn't even really notice it, that it's about the content of the text that you're laying out, not about the flair or the design. So this is what this is about. So what I'm going to do, and this is just a good work habit for you to do also, is I'm going to right click on my desktop. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to name it something like type layout. And okay, so there we go. I'm going to throw this guy in here, and then also what's going to go in here is any images that I might decide to use and my InDesign file. It's very important that you get used to organizing your work like this. And then also, by the way, then this one folder is all that you need to back up, when it's time to back up your work. So that's important. So I know that this is about laying out typography in a really basic way, but I do want an image or two to play with. So I'm actually going to go back into my browser, and I'm going to open a new window, and I'm going to go to Unsplash. Unsplash has really, really good images. They're free. They're completely free, and they're high resolution. And that's really important. So you have all the 3 basic major things here. And I have some great stuff, right? So I'm going to get really boring here and basically just put in wine glass, because that's what a goblet is. And let's see what we have. Okay, so right away, got some options here. I think that definitely, I've already seen the one that I'm probably gonna go with for a layout. Yep, okay, so I'm gonna go all the way back here, and I am going to grab both of these. Okay, because I think that both of them are good. Now, you have to log in to this. You do have to make an account, but it's completely free, so that's fine. Oh, I lost my glasses. Okay. Okay, so now that I'm logged in here, I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to take both of my images. I'm going to pop them in my folder. I'm going to open up InDesign. Okay. Okay. Sorry for the little lag there. Oh, it's still opening. Okay. So now I'm in InDesign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out our little spread. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a 4 or 3-page spread for this, like it would be in the middle of the magazine. So I'm going to do Command N. You could also do Create New. It's up to you. And I'm going to go to Print. And we're going to do this letter half. And if you don't see it, it could be down here, letter half right here. So letter half, I'm going to choose it. Okay, then let's do 3 pages. Then let's go down here to the margins. Okay, so this is, let's look at what this looks like now. I have this set in inches, which, because we're here in the US, you can just change this on the fly if you had to. I'm going to click on Preview, and so I can see what the margins are looking like, and those are looking pretty nice. You want to have a decent sized margin. Okay, so we have 3 pages, 1/2 inch margin. That looks good. I am going to add a bleed just in case I want to use it. And for the bleed, I'm going to go with 1/8 of an inch, which is pretty standard here in the United States, and that would be 0.125 IN, and you can see right down here it added the bleed, and that's the overprinting that would get cut off if we were laying an image out here. I'm going to go to Create. Here's my pages right here. Okay, so here's my page palette, and so my page panel, I should say. So okay, so this is now we have a totally clean area. Now before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a little kind of a grid here, so that I have consistency all the way through my layout. And where I would do that is here on the A Master page. So I'm going to double click A Master. So what happens with A Master is anything that you put on a master page winds up being on these pages. So if I double click A Master, and I'm sure I'm on A Master, so see down here in the lower left hand corner, see how it says A Master down here? You want to make sure you're on A Master. And I know, you're like, I just clicked it, but all my beginning InDesign students, the biggest mistake they usually make is that they do something like they click this like this. They can see that there's a selection here and they think they're on A Master, but they're not. They're still on page 1. You have to really double click it. Like, you have to want it, and check down here, A Master. So you'll notice this is A Master, and then this is AAA. So whatever I put on A Master is going to go on these pages. For example, if I take a frame, make a big frame, and I fill it with a color. Let me make sure before I do that my fill is forward, okay? Because if I left this forward, it would just be putting a border on it, and that's not what I want. I want to actually fill it with a color. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go over here to my swatches. I'm going to click pink. And now there's a big pink rectangle in the middle of my pages. If I go back to my pages panel, you'll see that because I put it on the page here, it's also on this page and it's also on these pages. So whatever you put on A Master, it goes on the rest of the pages. You can make another master if you want to. Let me get rid of this. So you could have A Master, B Master, C Master. Usually A Master is the grid. B Master could be the page numbers. C Master could be, for example, important areas, like if it had subheaders or something like that. For this example, I'm just going to do the most basic of grids, and that's going to be that there's going to be columns on each of these pages, right? So what I'm going to do here is make sure I'm on A Master, like I just said, and then I'm going to go up here to Layout. I'm going to go to Margins and Columns. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to go down here where it's text columns. I'm going to give myself 2 columns on each page. The gutter is the space between these columns right here. So I could make these columns thinner or thicker. I'm just going to go with the default. I like a little bit of space between them. And I can see that my margins are here, and I'm going to click on OK. So now if I go down here to these pages, you're going to see that I have text columns on each one of them. And so that's going to help me to lay out my article. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do is I have to put my text in. So I have a little bit of a grid here, and so what I'm going to do is now I could make a text column and put text in it if I wanted to, but I don't want to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the text in just like I would place an image in. So to do that, I'm going to go either File, Place, or like Command D. I always use Command D because in InDesign you're constantly doing that, so you might as well learn, the shortcut. I'm also going to do Command D to get to my desktop, and then I am going to look for, what did I name that? Type layout. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my Crystal Goblet text, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Open, and you can see like I have the text. It's just attached to my cursor. If I would just click anywhere, it would just put in a column. I'm going to go Command Z. And then for this first page, I'm just going to go ahead. Now, up here, I know I'm going to have a headline. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go and put a column there like that. And I can see that I have this little red box. And this means that there's more text here, and I need to thread it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the box. I'm going to go over here, double click page 2. And then I'm going to go ahead right up in the corner here and click one time. And what will happen is it'll thread the text all the way to the end of the column, and then it'll stop. I'm going to undo that. If you put your cursor here and you hold Shift, you're going to see that right there. You see that little, it looks like a little snaky thing. And what that means is it will thread the rest of the text until you run out of text. And then, and then you're done. So what you have here is it ends right here on page 4. So we have the perfect amount of text here to go page 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see that there's no formatting at all. And so this is where now we start to come in with our, layout and design. So let's get into it. Okay. The first thing that I'm going to do is that this title here is not going to be part of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to either grab my type tool, or since I'm in this tool right here, the selection tool, I can just double click inside of a frame and it'll turn into the type tool. And that's kind of time saving. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this guy. I'm going to do Command X, which is cut. And then I'm still in the type tool. So I'm going to make a frame and I'm going to do Command V for paste. And here is my title. So I'm going to hold on to that. Also, I want to make sure that this text hits the top up here. I don't want it to, when I'm laying it out and I hit W, I can't tell that this text isn't on top. So I'm going to hit W again, double click here, tidy this up, make sure it's right on top. Perfect. And let's start talking about the font that we want to use. So I'm in the type tool and I would like to format all my text here, right? So the way, now since I placed it, right, this text, it starts on page 1, it goes through 2 and 3, and actually even ends up on page 4. And what I want to do here is I want to format all of this text. So it's not a really good idea to just, highlight this one page. We want to highlight all the text. So I'm going to put my cursor in here, and I'm going to do Command A for select all. And then you're going to notice that all the text that was placed together, because I did Command Place to get this text in here, all of that text comes in at the same time, which is fantastic. Okay. All right, let's go up here and let's look at some of basic typography rules and, things to note. So this first little area right here, obviously, is the font. And so I'm going to click here, and I could start figuring out, what I wanted. But the article is definitely that the type should be invisible. And so I'm getting a distinctive modern kind of a vibe here. And so I'm going to do Universe. Okay. And so I'm going to go to Universe, and I'm going to pick just for the body copy, which is what this is, right? I am going to pick, oh, maybe I don't even have it. Light. I think I'm going to pick Universe Light. Okay. Let's see how light that is. Oh, that's fine. Okay, Command A, select all. Okay, so that's the first thing, is Universe Light. Now, secondly, 12 is way too big for body copy. It just is, it looks very horsey on a page. You want it to either be 11 or 10, but it depends on the size of the font because fonts are different sizes. This font is a little bit large. So for this font, I'm going to go down to 10. Okay, so that's the second thing you have to look at is the point size. Now, come down here, this is the leading. And the leading is the space between lines. And it's called that because lead used to be put in between letters, letter rows, in order to space out letters. The general rule for body copy, and only body copy, is that it could be about 4 points above the point size. So that would make this 14. And it's much better. You need to space this out for it to be legible. Okay, coming over here, all of these guys are toggle buttons. This is all caps. This is all small caps, superscript, subscript, underline, strike through, and they're toggle buttons. So you toggle them on, you toggle them off. Okay, these are, for words, or you get this, right? So then let's come over to here. Okay, we've got two things here. First thing is kerning. If you go to adjust the kerning, you'll notice that you can't because kerning is only between two specific letters. So I'll come back to that. However, you can adjust it to optical. Now, optical, the idea is that the letters lay out better for, they look better. Metric is if you want them to lay out mathematically to what they're supposed to lay out. You can check optical. You'll notice that everything did move. I'm going to check metrics and you'll see it move again, but it's very, very, very slight. Okay. This, however, is not so slight. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can really see it. I'm losing my voice already. Sorry. So with serif letters, these are sans serif. They don't have the little wings. With serif letters, you definitely need to always space these out a little bit because otherwise they just look like they're all up in each other's spaces. But these guys, not so much. They're not too bad. I am going to space them out just a teeny weeny bit, maybe 10 points, just so that they're a little bit easier to read. So this tracking is the space between all the letters. Okay, so evenly between them all. I'm just going to add 10 points to it. Okay, I'm going to go back to Command 0. And I'm going to deselect and see how everything's looking. I'm going to hold the space bar so I can grab my hand and move this over a little bit. And then I'm going to deselect everything. I'm going to hit W to see if I like how the type is looking. It's pretty good. And now that we've made the text a little bit smaller, you'll notice this back page is empty. But if I start to play with the layout, for example, if I start to bring this way down so that we only have a little paragraph here opening, you'll notice that it's going to spill out onto this page. So that's the really cool thing about text writing like that is, I could even grab this column, I could hit delete, and all that text is still there, right? It's all right here. You'll notice that now there's too much text here. Say I wanted to thread this text back here, right? So what I could do is this little guy threads the text forward and this guy threads it backwards. So now I brought it back. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is before I go on, I'm going to save as. I'm going to put it in my type layout. Save it. Okay. And then we are going to start working on a couple other things, making the type look really, really good.